Welcome to Natural Habitat Adventures Daily Dose of Nature. I'm your host, Brooke Mitchell, and today's webinar is Discovering Portugal's River of Wine, new for 2026, presented by NatHab Expedition Leader Daniel Blankenheim. Thank you so much for being here today, Daniel. Over to you.
Hi, Brooke. Thanks for the invitation and for the nice talk. I'm really excited to be talking about this beautiful itinerary that just got better for 2026, even better, let's say, because it's already an outstanding itinerary, and everybody who's going is really fortunate to be on that trip. But I'm just gonna make a little bit more advertisement for next year's adventure and talk and explain some of the changes. So let's get right into it. So the outline of today's presentation, just shortly, I'm going to give you a little bit of introduction, talk also about the people you're going to meet along the way, because I think that's a big part of the trip and about what makes it so special. We talk just briefly about tourism in Portugal and how it has developed in recent years. And then I'm going to go into details about what's so special about this itinerary and talk on a day-to-day basis about the itinerary and next year's program. And in that sense, we're also going to talk about the accommodations where we're going to be staying. And believe me, there are some stunning ones waiting for you. So absolutely excited to tell you all about it. And we're going to go through all the activities and modes of exploration because believe me, there are quite many now. And then one big aspect that for me is very important, and I think for everybody, maybe as a hidden gem, let's say, is part of the Portuguese life, the Portuguese culture that we're going to be experiencing along the way. So first, a little bit about NatHab. We can celebrate birthday this year because it's the 40th birthday, and yay! You see it on my head actually, so just got the new hat. It's pretty cool. We have always been protecting our planet by inspiring travelers, and our philosophy is conservation through exploration. So we believe that if you go to the places that you visit and you feel the awe, you see the beauty around you, that transforms you, and that transformation leads maybe to lifestyle changes or maybe even some other things, and you will see what I mean by that. But as we go there to these small scale communities, to local communities, we support them with income, with jobs, and that's really important to us. By doing so, and not just doing that, but how we do that, we boldly influence the entire travel industry. So for example, that goes from zero waste trips, but also for electrical safaris in Botswana and even Peru now. So we're very, very proud about that. That was the other thing that I'm hoping to inspire travelers to do, to donate to the World Wildlife Fund, because they've been with us since 2003, and since 2014 we are their exclusive travel partners, and we're super proud of that. Our shared mission is to protect the wild places, and the WWF thinks that Natural Habitat Adventures is great in doing so. We have directly donated more than 8.5 million US dollars and have inspired our guests to donate over 50 million US dollars to 2,000 projects worldwide. So that is just phenomenal. And I'm really happy to be working with Natural Habitat Adventures for that reason. Yeah, so that's exactly leading up to me, and that's the philosophy I've been trying to incorporate in my guiding. I've been guiding since 2015. I started actually in Thailand for some German-speaking group, and that spark, that R, that was exactly what I saw in people going to these places, interacting with the wildlife, with the landscapes, and it was like, wow, oh my God! And I saw how it transformed their hearts, and hopefully that has a long-term influence on them. It certainly had on me. I began to love these wild places. I always have. I'm actually from Germany, but I've always had a tendency to be in nature and away from the crowds. And I've been studying landscape ecology and wildlife ecology as a master's degree for that reason, just to protect these wild places. And that's exactly what I found at NatHab as well. So I've been guiding with NatHab since 2022. And as a certified paddle sport leader, I was extremely excited to be guiding the trip in Portugal, which is very, very close to my heart because it's the first trip I've been guiding with them. My uncle actually comes from a wine region in Germany. He always brought me sweet Rieslings from the Mosel region. And when I met port wine, it was love at first sight. I think I have a private degree in port winology, and so I'm just super excited. You see me here with a big smile about the sardines, and so yeah, I've been guiding here with NetHub since 2022, and I might have come for the port wine, for the stunning scenery, and for the kayaking, but I definitely stayed, or I'm so in love with this all because of these guys. These are our local guides, Pedro and Rodrigo Soromino and Vito Ventura. And if any of you is watching that right now, my love goes to you guys. I'm just super happy to be seeing you soon. These are really awesome, amazing people, and they are representing everything that is great about Portugal, and that is the Portuguese warmth, their soul of hospitality, and their kindness and helpfulness. And you see it in their smiles already. Vito Ventura, I want to give a shout out because he's been doing this trip for 25 years. He's the one who started it with Olaf back in the day when it was still Explorer's Corner. They took over, but NatTab, even though it's maybe not the most typical NatTab trip because it's a very cultural inclined trip, it has been keeping it and refining it over the years because it's such a special trip to have. And this guy, he's the main reason. He's been there all of that time. So big thank you to Vito and to Pedro as well, who's been doing this since 17 years and even got the next generation. You see in the middle is his son, Rodrigo, and he's just as amazing and just as nice and beautiful. And yeah, you will actually see them being everywhere at the same time. Okay, so for some reason they managed to be simultaneously with all the guests, helping everybody, transporting stuff, being behind the scenes, doing the logistics. It's crazy. It's unbelievable what these guys managed to do. And just my biggest thank you goes to them. I actually believe I'm very privileged to be working with these guys, to not just be working with these guys, but they really became part of the family. And they are so representative of that Portuguese soul, of that warmth, that kindness, and you're going to fall absolutely in love with them. And I'm sure one of the biggest highlights of this trip is to actually get to spend time with them. So either one of them, there might be a selection of them, might be all three of them, but if you get to meet them, you will know what I mean. So be prepared for these guys. Big shout out to you if you're watching. Thanks you're here. And then I think it's partly because of these people or people like them in Portugal that Portugal is booming. Portugal is no longer a secret. It has been named the best tourist destination in Europe or in the world in the last couple of years in numerous media outlets, in the BBC and New York Times. They won their World Travel Awards, which is basically the Nobel Prize for traveling, if you want to say so. And it's certainly true. Of course, like all the other places, there was a big hit with COVID, but now tourism is back and it peaked pre-COVID levels. So now we're talking about millions and millions of people. Depending on whom you ask, it's either 10% of the GDP directly, maybe 20% even if you have all the supply chains in mind, and up to one in every 5 jobs is now due to tourism. So it's going to be harder and harder to avoid the crowds. You will see that especially in Porto. But tourism is changing. They want to make a small scale trips. They want to have small groups. And we are basically the role model for that. We are the guys that go to the remote places to stay away from the crowds. Even though it's getting harder and harder with this itinerary, we're really proud because we are getting away from that. There's the tourist hubs. You will see this on the map briefly, shortly, of Regua and Pinhao in the Douro Valley, and we are actually going further east, so away from the crowds, away to the people, to some very remote places, to some slice of Portuguese landscape and life that not many people get to see. In the itinerary, we're actually going to be visiting not one, not two, but 3 World Heritage sites on the same trip. So Porto as this 2,000 years old continuation of inhabitation, even more, and different tribes, different ethnicities that have called Porto their home, but it's been there for a very long time. And in difference to many other European cities or major towns that have been destroyed by either earthquakes like Lisbon in 1755 or the world wars destroying major cities, Porto has survived it all relatively unharmed. And so you can see this continuation in the architecture, in the different styles, beautiful areas, and we will be right there in the heart. But we get to that in a second. And then the Douro Valley as the oldest demarcated wine region since 1756 in the world. And so it is famous for these beautiful terraces, and we're going to immerse ourselves in that little visited, little known wine region where river cruises are picking up, but the style that we are doing with paddling included is basically unheard of. Nobody does that. And then my favorite little hidden gem that nobody knows about, the Sequoia rock art, and I will tell you about it. I actually had a webinar about it last month, and so go check that one out. But it's this Paleolithic open air sanctuary of rock art, and I will tell you all about it. But keep these three in mind as we go through the itinerary. Besides these World Heritage sites, we are so special and so happy about our itinerary and the refining that we did, because now it's a multi-activity immersion in a historical landscape where not many people get to go. And we have, because of Vito and Pedro, because of these people, we have decade-old connections with the people in the valley. And anywhere we go, they know the NetApp groups, they know we're coming, they're smiling, they're treating us like family, and that just makes it feel so much more special. We are not just going to where everybody else is going, because otherwise we would be unrecognizable as well, right? Just people of the crowd. And we are certainly not that. We're going to authentic old world Europe places, where we'll be mostly on our own. In that sense, it's very exclusive because it's just going to be our small Portuguese expedition family. And yeah, it's going to be stunning. And the river of wine is never going to stop flowing for us, and it's exceptional wines and food that we're going to be trying and tasting in the region. Let's have a look at the map. We will start our trip. This is the north on the lower left. You can see the north of Portugal, basically, right at the border with Spain, marked in these red dots. And we will start our itinerary in Oporto, and then we go up the river. What is marked in this kind of greenish colors is the Alto Douro wine region. So the historical heart is basically the Baixo Corgo and the Cima Corgo. The wine cultivation has expanded further east and is now reaching into the Douro Superior more and more. But that's the two towns I've been talking about, Piso del Regua and Pinhao. And this is where most of the people will get out. The day trippers that come from Porto, they will spend maybe an afternoon in this region, and then they come back to Oporto. But none of them, or at least only a very small percentage, also of the river cruise boats, they're actually going to go anywhere near where we go. And if you think about the end of our trip, you see the river Tua, which flows into the Douro River. So the big river is the Douro River, even hugs the Spanish border, as we will see and talk about. But the end of our trip is on the right-hand side of Pinhao. It's where the river Tua hits the Douro River. So in a small place called Tua, that's where we're going to have a lunch, drive back to Porto, and finish our trip there. So we're never actually going to reach the crazy tourist crowds. We will stay far away from that. How are we going to get around? Yeah, we talk about the modes of exploration, but what we see here is a really nice sprinter van on the top right. That's actually new. So far, we've been using smaller vans, just as comfortable and great, but now we've really upgraded with more space. We need two of these sprinter vans because, as you can see, we need to tow the kayaks and the safety boat that's always going to be with us. And so that means in the 7-seater place for trips of 12 people, it's just more than plenty of space. And there will be much space for our luggage. We have very good drivers in Vito, Rodrigo, and Pedro who are going to do that. And they know the curvy roads. And no matter where we go on these beautiful roads, it's these beautiful vistas of either olive groves and almond orchards, or it's going to be the stunning wine country that we're going to be observing from the side of our vans. So let's dive into the itinerary. Private wine cellar tour on day one as we go to Porto or Vila Nova de Gaia and tasting. So basically, we pick you up at the airport, just a 20-25 minutes drive, depending on traffic, to our first home away from home, which is Infante Sagres. And you see here, Joao and Jose in the middle. This smile has been there also since 20 years. He's always there. He's an institution of Porto, you could say. And no matter who's going to be there to greet us, they all treat us like family, and they all invite us into that very beautiful Infante Sagres. And Infante Sagres actually was the first 5-star hotel in Porto, founded in 1951. It has underwent very extensive renovations in 2018. So it looks very fabulous. It's stunning location, very close to Porto, and that's where we will stay the first day. So I recommend that you arrive early because we are very close to the historic center. It's just a mile away walking. I mean, even 200 feet away, but basically stepping out of the door, but it continues till a mile away to the waterfront. And we see that here. This is Oporto. This is where the Douro hits the Atlantic Ocean. We see the barcos Rabelos the traditional boats that have brought the casks down from the Douro Valley to Villanova de Gaia, where the British shippers are based, and stored it and transported it all the way to England and the UK. We see the Riviera district on the other side with merchant houses from the 14th and 15th century. So let's just say it's a stunning city that has a lot of stories to tell. And I invite you to come early to spend another day or prolong your stay at the end of the trip just to soak in more. Because what we actually going to be doing is drive after a welcome presentation at Infante Sagres, where we go over the details of the itinerary. We will drive over to Coburn's, to the port wine cellar. And Coburn's is one of the oldest institutions since 1815. And that's your first impression of the cellars. We're going to smell, we're going to feel, we're going to touch this historical place, basically one of the biggest and oldest wine cellars in Villanova de Gaia. And so we're going to have a private tour here. And we just 10 minutes up the road, we'll go to the first welcome dinner, basically. And you see us bonding over the table. That's where the river of wine is going to start flowing for us. And everything in terms of wines is included, and the port wines as well. We will have a private tasting also at Coburn's. So that's when you get to see, when you start learning about the process, that when you start learning the difference between the different styles in port wine, for example, tawny or vintage port, and you will basically learn what kind of person you are. But don't worry, we have plenty of time to find that out over the course of the week. So it's just going to be a beautiful start. And then day two, we already leaving Porto behind. We go up the river into the Douro Valley, and we go to a very tiny place called Fega. And so the train ride, the Linha do Douro, is basically around since 1875, and the last stretch was finished in 1887. And it was actually going all the way to the Spanish border. And there's a lot of history, of course, because, before it was only the Barcos Rabelos, then the train helped with transporting down the wines. But since 1988, basically, Pocinho is the last station. So we take the train in the morning from beautiful Sao Bento station in Porto, and we go up the river. At some point, the train line is going to hug the river, and we're going to start seeing and getting our first glimpses, our first impressions of the beauty of the Douro Valley. So it's just a very scenic train ride. We're not going to take the same way back. We're going to be going by van. So this is a beautiful first impression, like the locals do. And that's where you will see the people getting off of Regua and Peñao, and we continue all the way to the last station, which is Pocinho. Then it's just a 40 minutes drive to Casa de Santa Cruz, and that's our second home away from home. And this has another stunning story to tell, a beautiful story, actually. Anna and George, our hosts, hopefully they're going to be there. They're pretty busy these days, but George's grandfather lived there, and in this tiny town of Felgar, or village, I should say, really. And he saw, like many other places, these places falling into ruin and being abandoned by the younger people moving to the cities. And because he was so like clinging on to the place, having all these memories of his childhood there, he decided to reform and restore the old farmhouse. And this was built in the 1750s. And you can still see the quarters downstairs where the sheep and the livestock used to live, and with the family living in the upper quarters. And they have done an incredible job restoring it, and it's right in the old center. But even if they're not going to be there, it's going to be Katya and Tatiana and probably Joanna as well, and they're always doing their magic in the kitchen for us and treating us with smiles and with pleasure, and they're just super nice to be around. And we're going to have most likely the place to ourselves, being here for the next 2 nights. So Casa de Santa Cruz, very, very fabulous. And where are we actually? Felga, I told you, right? Where Felga is this rural ideal. Okay, this is the old world Europe where we talk about. This actually was taken by Jane. Jane, I hope you're watching this too. She was a guest on the trip in June, and she woke up at 6:30, walked down the road. 7 o'clock, she starts seeing this shepherd, and she's sharing this story also at home now. She went into this, the shepherd went into the stable, greets all the sheep, and basically says good morning, helps them to get out, and they walk down the street and they disappear in the pastures. So it's just super idyllic here, really. That's the kind of word you can say. There's gonna be dogs running around and then they come to sniff at you. And yeah, it's just tiny, tiny place. Lots of old people, lots of old friendly Portuguese people. And you will see also, maybe this is the place where you still see widows that are dressed in black for the rest of their lives. Because the Christianity tells them to do so after their husband has died. So this is the traditional kind of place where we are staying and where you will basically never ever see another tourist. They're just that. That's because we have the connections with Anna and George, with Tatiana and Katja, and so it's great that we can be there. Another stunning place, stunning thing about this place is that we are right at the Sabo Reservoir, and this is basically formed. We will talk about the meaning of dams and locks for the Douro and how it has changed the once wild and untamed river. But for us, just the scenic beauty, right, of this lake. And Mandy, she's actually from the Net Flights department. She was there in June too, and she was amazed, because in the US or in most places in Europe, such a lake would be full of infrastructure, lots of holiday homes, people using it to go with their boats. And here in this remote slice of old world Europe, of old world Portugal, we basically don't have anything like that. Yes, you will see this rural ideal, right? You will see almond groves, you will see the sheeps in the mountain, in the hillsides, you will see the olive groves, but that's pretty much it. Unless that you have the Sabo Reservoir, we can walk down to it. It's just a mile and a half downhill from Casa de Santa Cruz. So it's just a stunning location, really. At Casa de Santa Cruz, we stay there for another night, and then I'm really proud about this change because it was always a little compromise, let's say. Of course, we offered great alternatives, but on the river we couldn't be. We were not allowed to be in June, for example, in the Douro International Park because for breeding reasons to protect the birds. But now we have this spectacular 4x4 exploration safari, basically, of the Douro International Park. And the Douro International Park is this 335 square miles of rugged terrain. Spain on the one side, Portugal on the other side. Your watches will go crazy because they don't know the time zones anymore. And this is basically our chance to see the natural side of things, how things would have looked without the cultural transformation that is so pronounced in the Douro Valley. And this is also our chance to maybe see some wildlife even. So it's still home to wild boars and even to the last population of wolves in Portugal. But please don't expect to see that. Most likely we will see an array of birds of prey and the griffon vulture in the picture basically being what we most often get to see. But yeah, so very exciting about this new addition to the trip, this 4x4 safari in the Douro International. We basically get around, we go to different viewpoints, we get out of the car, we start walking or hiking for some distance, and then we move around the day like that. So it's gonna be great because we get to immerse ourselves in this basically unspoiled wild landscape. And then we come back to Casa de Santa Cruz for another night. And the next day, we're going to be leaving Casa de Santa Cruz. Oh, it's going to be very sad. That's where we had basically the place to ourselves. But don't worry, there's another place waiting for us. But first, we're going to do the Calcada de Alpajachas hike and have a private olive oil tasting, which is also new addition. And we're going to have a boat ride to Casa do Rio. So let's have a look at that. Basically, the famous hike is on a 5,000-mile long Roman road that has been winding across a spectacular landscape. And this one we haven't done also with any groups, so it's super exciting for us. We will go there and scout all the greatest trips. We've done that already, but there's always more to explore. We want to have alternatives, plan A, B, C, just to show you the most beautiful routes. But there's definitely that trip that's going to take us through some stunning scenery, schist outcrops, quartzite hills. So yeah, it's just going to be really amazing. Um, and then basically we go to Bacadava right at the Spanish border. And that's where we will see some of the olive oil harvested, or the not the harvest depends on the season. I think that's not going to be the case, but we see the process and we see the facilities and we get to taste that. And that's also a new addition. It has always been a lot about the wine and the port wine and all that, but the olive oils, they are very actually, there's a lot of guests that say, yeah, I was expecting some great food, some great wines, but what really amazed me was the quality of olive oils, and I can't get enough of them. I'm taking more olive oil back than wines because yeah, it's simply stunning. And it is true. Maybe that's not what many people know, but Portugal is in the top 10 producers of olive oil in the world, and they're aspiring next couple of years. It's probably going to be top three. And the Douro Valley in particular is very famous for low yield, very traditional methods, but high quality, highest quality actually. We talk about extra virgin olive oil here, and you will taste that. It's a big part of the experience. It's another aspect of our cultural immersion because the olives next to the wine and the almonds play a major role in the Douro Valley, and we will see and experience that and taste it. So that's a really great thing. New addition to the trip, and super excited about that as well. And then after the beautiful hike, the private olive oil tasting, we still don't have enough. We will go on a boat ride, and we will go maybe for an hour and a half along the Douro River, finally on the river, and we get to see this stunning. I mean, I have to expand my vocabulary because I'm gonna say stunning, beautiful, and amazing a lot. But you understand why, right? I mean, look at that. That is just incredible. Basically, these terraces have been around. There's a bit of this debate if the Romans had some terraces already. We're not going to see many traces of that, but century-old terraces from the 17th centuries already, newly transformed from the 20th century. You see these mosaic, these patterns of beautiful terraces in the landscape. The Douro as this culturally transformed landscape. You could call it land art, right? It's the oldest demarcated wine region in the world, and we are immersing ourselves in that landscape for the next couple of days. And yeah, it's just simply stunning, really. It's this aspect where, we think about some regions in the world where people exploit the natural resources, where they go burn down forests, grow their palm oil monocultures, and devastation, right? But here it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site because it's in harmony with the natural environment, right? People with their sweat, with lots of manual labor, they have built stone walls to preserve the precious resource that is water in the dry Douro Valley. And they have done a stunning look, transforming the landscape and making a living here off of grapes and some fabulous port wine. Because besides that, the Douro Valley is the only region in the world where authentic port wine is allowed to be produced. So it's a protected origin. And you can see that after the boat ride, we arrive at Casa do Rio, and Casa do Rio is right in the vineyards. It's right there, and you can see the garden even. What we're going to be eating in the evenings is mostly coming from our local garden, from the local vineyard. We are at Quinta do Orgal, which farms sustainable and organically, right in the greater estate of Quinta do Volado, some very famous prime estates of Ferreira. So we're super excited to be there. And no matter who's going to greet us, it's Eulalia or Beatriz or some other people. There's a lot of staff, but they're all going to be treating us like family, and they're all going to treat us with a big smile. And yeah, you see the infinity pool right in the vineyards. There's a lot to do, but we're just by ourselves. Maybe there's another two couple that might be there. But besides that, the very few suits are just for us, and we're going to be there for the next 3 nights. And that's where your feedback was crucial for us, because we always try to fill up these days, right, with a lot of beautiful program. There's so much to do, and we've read your feedback, and there was always, I wish we could have stayed longer at this stunning location, this beautiful place, just to soak in and just to be there and immerse ourselves more. And we listen. We always listen, and we take it very seriously what you have to say to us. And so instead of 2 nights like this year, we're going to stay 3 nights at Casa do Rio. And we can do that because we have done some major changes, which we will still talk about in a little bit. But yeah, take that in. 3 nights at Casa do Rio at this prime estate right in the vineyards. Yes, fabulous. Super excited. And then at Casa do Rio, which is going to be our home away from home for a couple of days, we will be kayaking. We go to Quinta das Mos, a private boutique winery where we just can go, meeting Leonora and Mr. Cabral. because of Vito and Pedro who has established these connections, and nobody else goes there. And we check that out. And then a new addition, the Prazo Roman ruins. And I've seen the Roman roads. I haven't seen the ruins myself, so I'm going to check that out before we actually go with the trip. But yeah, it's a super exciting addition also for me. There's all these hidden cultural gems, right, that we just need to explore and that we need to find. And in this case, it's not like Roman ruins, right, where people go, they millions of them flock there. No, the Roman history in Portugal is really much unheard or undiscovered, and you will see that it's quite hard to get there. It's basically no tourist infrastructure, and that's what makes it so exciting. But let's have a look at it. First of all, the kayaking. Well, let me tell you, as a certified paddle sport leader, I'm super excited that we are refining the kayaking. 5 days, what we're doing so far, and what we are still doing this year, that might seem a little bit daunting for some people. So we wanted to make it a multi-activity approach and widen the activity range that we're going to be offering. And we still kept the two of the most amazing trips, two of the most pristine stretches where we really see a variety from the vineyards and the terraces to rock gardens or even gorges. So these two stretches that we're offering now, they are coming down from 5 stretches. So even if you're an absolute beginner, you don't need to be you need not to worry because it's very beginner friendly. We're using uh, German quality is German-made pre-joint kayaks, sea kayaks actually. They are very stable, very comfortable, and we're going to be doing 3 to 4 hour stretches. But we're going to take our time. Safety is the most important thing for us, so we will go over that. I will coach you for as much as necessary, or for however much you want to learn. Basically, we just have to get down the river, right? And so that's the most important thing for us. And what better way is there to immerse ourselves in the river? You will see some cruise boats, you will see some barcos rabellos that have been transformed to take more and more tourists, but you will absolutely not see anybody else on the river in a kayak. Maybe, okay, in some smaller localized locations where, you know, they go out for an hour and they come back to where they rented it. But doing 7, 8 mile stretches like we do, that's just the NetApp experience. And you can see why people are smiling. We are undisturbing, we're non-invasive, we can see black kites soaring over the river, trying to get some fish in the river. So I'm very excited about that. As you might be able to tell. And yeah, I think you should be too. The 2 days allow us to really immerse ourselves in the river while still leaving space for some other activities to do, more hikes, for example. After that beautiful kayaking stretch from Foz Sabor down a beautiful rock garden to Freixo do Numão, we come out. It's just a 20 minutes ride. Maybe Pedro, Rodrigo, or Vitor, or two of them at least, will be waiting there with wines or with some drinks to welcome us. And we go to Quinta das Mos. On the left, you see Leonora. And like I said, she's a private host basically. So she's inviting us into her home. We're going to have this beautifully prepared lunch by her and her family and helpers, everything homemade, local ingredients, and lots of wine, of course. And if we're lucky, we might even get to try the local unbranded port wine that they just produce for the family and that is not legitimized for sale. And we get to try it sometimes if we're really nice and kind, which we always are. And even the burning water or the what we call the aguardente, which is added to the wine to stop the fermentation, preserves the grape sugar, and that's what basically makes port wine. It used to be very strong brandy, and that's what we can try in its purest form right there with Leonora and Mr. Cabral. They also allow us to have a visit to the facilities. Pedro is here just translating the explanation that Leonora is giving about all the process of winemaking. So it's another immersive experience for us to get to know the process of winemaking some more. And then, yeah, there they are, the Prazo Roman ruins. This used to be a villa, a complex with bathing areas and with village facilities. The Roman road, you see Pedro having some fun in the foreground. Yeah, so basically unexplored, undiscovered territory, one of the places where nobody else goes. And we go there, we have a private tour with a private guide, and he will be able to tell us, or he or she will be able to tell us everything about it. And yeah, it's going to be fantastic. And once again, we come back to Casa do Rio. That kitchen is impossible to describe. They just have uh, very delicious meals with a lot of wine still flowing for us. You see, we have this table where we all sitting together. Of course, rest is important, so feel free to go to bed whenever you feel like it. But otherwise, we're gonna be there till 10, 11, 12, open end basically, just celebrating the company and being with each other and yeah, enjoying good food and good wine. Day six already. And the Koa Rock Art, I told you this is my secret favorite hidden gem because not many people know about it and it's certainly unheard of. So let's have a look at it. This is with Marco, one of the passionate guides that takes us out there in the morning. We're still at Casa do Rio, so we take a small ride to Villanova de Foscoa, where the museum and the rock art site is around. As the Coa is actually a tributary of the Douro, and there's the super exciting story of the government wanting to build a dam with the energy agency, and basically it became the Battle of the Core because as the dam project was beginning, they found out about these petroglyphs, these engravings, and then it was a race against time. Yeah, I mean, it's really exciting, and we get to immerse ourselves in that kind of cultural landscape by being in the field, by learning all about it with a passionate local guide telling us and showing us, because some of these lines, we call them spaghetti rocks, right? They're engraved on some vertical schist slabs. It's really hard to discern for the naked eyes if you don't know what you're looking for. And so he's going to point it out. They're going to show us everything there is to know. Depending on the accessibility of the place and the time of the day, we might be able to visit one or another place. One of them is called Canado do Inferno, which basically means little canyon of hell. And that is because it can get up to 110, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and it can be very hot. But remember, we make it accessible, so that means we're not gonna be there for the sake of hiking. We're gonna be there to explore this rock art in its natural environment. Because it's for us, it's really important to understand the context of where the art has been created 30,000 years ago. Yeah, that's right. So the majority is between 22,000 and 10,000, and it's what we might be seeing is something like that. So you see these engravings, it's the same picture. I just pronounce the area on the left with two heads basically, because this is also the birth of animation. Imagine the first comic, this guy 22,000 years ago thinking, how can I express movement? And he or she decides to draw two heads or engrave two heads on the same animal body, indicating that the animal is looking back and forth. So really stunning. It not only did that, the birth of animation, but it's also basically changing our perception of Paleolithic rock art. You might know Lascaux, you might know Altamira, the cave of northern Spain, where we have these sophisticated cave paintings. The core of rock art is basically changing our perception in that way that we thought the rock the paint the cave paintings, they were the precedent, they were what most important and what mostly was found. But in fact, it seems to be that the rock art outside was much more common, much more universal, but it's just more prone to erosion because of being exposed to the environment much more. And so this is one of the examples that we still have, but it seems to have been much common. So we learn now that rock art has been everywhere and that's more and more being found, but the core rock art basically being the most significant in Iberia for sure, but not, if not in Iberia, also in the whole world. So it's a really significant place. And that's why we're going to immerse ourselves the full day. We're not just going to go for an hour and a half to the rock art site itself before it's getting too hot. We will also go to the museum and look at the land art aspect of the museum, kind of representing the vertical schist slabs on which our ancestors have engraved that. And so we will learn from another person, another guide, explaining us very passionately the history. It's also good to have these computerized lines, right, that we saw to help understand the movements of the animals, to actually see on some of these spaghetti rocks how many animals have been superimposed on top of each other, like graffitis painted on top of each other. So yeah, we're going to spend a private tour another there and then have a delicious lunch at the local restaurant right at the museum. And then it's up to you. That's when we give you the choice to do another hike. There's actually some stairs. You maybe see the beginning on the left next to the river that lead down all the way to the river. We can walk along the Cora and the Douro River basically right back to our hotel, to Casa do Rio, which is in the vineyards in the back. So we are very close. It's pretty cool. But you can also come back to enjoy. Let's see, maybe I pressed it. Yes, there it is. To enjoy Casa do Rio, right? To really be there. This is our third evening. We spend it there, and you can just lay at the infinity pool. You can go for a stroll in the vineyards. It's really up to you. You can let us know. We are always happy to accommodate for whatever you would want to do, and we can make it work. So this is where it's your trip, where you get the options and you decide what you want to do, and you have the time for that to just soak it in, to just relax, to read a book, to go on a hike. Tell us. But yeah, really exciting that we have this possibility. And then last home away from home night in Porto as we go back to Infante Sagres in the evening. But first we start with a boat ride, then we kayak the dramatic Valera Gorge, and we go back to Porto for a fabulous farewell dinner. So let's look at that in detail. We do some of the stretches. I told you about the boat ride to Castro do Rio, and now we're going to do another one from Feixe do Numão to Ferradosa. And that one is stunning because it's a long distance. We cannot do it by kayaks. So we will do this private boat ride, being on the river basically with nobody else. But we're going to pass some of the most prestigious quintas, that means kind of wine estate, that there are in the Douro Valley. And we are still in the Douro Superior. And so that we have these large scale, prestigious quintas. For example, here, Quinta do Vesuvio from 1565. So it's been around a long time. And it started actually with cereals and olives and almonds, and only recently, or not recently, but not 500 years, but maybe 200 years ago, has transitioned more and more to port wine and the grape growing. So it's a stunning location. You see, Quinta do Vesuvio has its own chapel. It has its own train station. It's really one of these massive, very beautiful places. And we had on the boat, we have plenty of opportunities to take some nice pictures and photos. And then we arrive at Ferradosa. We take a little breather. Vito, Pedro, Rodrigo, they will have prepared the kayaks for us already. They're going to be waiting for us there. We take a little moment. There's Jane, by the way, the photographer of the shepherd and sheep picture in Fega. Hi, Jane. And yeah, it's just a really beautiful place. It's right on the Douro, and we get into the kayaks, and then we start kayaking. And again, we take our time. The safety boat will be with us the whole time. So safety, again, is the major thing. But we are just basically floating down the river. Okay, that being said, there's not much current because it's just a very tame landscape river system now, lake system basically now, because we have so many dams, so many locks, that basically we are going from one lake to another lake to another lake, in this gorge-like setting. So it's still very dramatic. It's very unspoiled and untouched. These granite boulders that you see, it's just wow. Oh my God, there's the vultures and there's the rocks and there's some natural vegetation. And yeah, it looks stunning, and it is really, if you're there and nobody else is going to be there but us, it's fabulous. It's really cool. And then that was the second stretch of kayaking. We pack up, we are in Tua, we go to a local restaurant, and then we pack up our stuff. We take 2 hours, 2.5 hours maybe back to Porto in the vans, and we meet up for another fabulous farewell dinner at Infante Sagres. They will have prepared an extra room for us. And as you can see, after a week of free flowing wine, it's mostly very funny. There might even be some tears of farewell because we've really bonded and we've turned this into a little expedition family of Portugal. And yes, we are always super happy and super excited, and yeah, basically becoming a family. Um, and then, yeah, day 8, we're going to bring it to the airport or to the train, or you stay in Porto some more. We can arrange for you to stay longer at Infante Sagres. It's really up to you, but I recommend spending a day 2 more. There's also Lisbon to explain. There's good train connections between them. There's the beautiful coastline. So Portugal is also up for you to explore after the trip. Spend 2, 3 days more. And yeah, and then we will say goodbye, sadly, at the airport, at the train station, waving you goodbye. So just a little summary still about the accommodations. So 2 nights at Hotel Infante Sagres, right in the heart of Porto, really close to the UNESCO World Heritage Site, which is basically the whole traditional heart. And then we have 2 nights at Casa de Santa Cruz, the old world Europe charm of Felgar. Basically, no people, no tourists for sure, and right at for Sabor at the Sabor Reservoir. And then Casa do Rio, this stunning location right in the vineyards, very modern, very sustainable, and eco-friendly. And so it's our home away from home for 3 nights. And that is also just to let you know, we had actually 2 nights, or we for the next two departures, next three departures this year, we're still gonna have 2 more nights at two other places, and we cut down on these places to slow down the pace. So that was really important to us. It just makes the immersion a little bit slower, gives us more time to immerse ourselves, and that just helps to feel at home, feel relaxed, and soak in the beauty around us, right? Instead of doing 5 stretches, we will be doing just the 2 stretches now, and that allows us to do one night less in the itinerary and one more night at Casa do Rio. So one of the big changes. The other one is that because we cut down on 3 kayaking stretches, we have a more multi-adventure approach now. So we have a lot more diversity of activities that guarantee full immersion, and that has been achieved by giving up these 3 days of kayaking, like I said. But we kept the two, let's say, most beautiful stretches from for Sabor to Freixo do Nomão, and then along the Valera Gorge and until Tua. So it's very diversified now. We added the 4x4 exploration of the Douro International Park for all the trips. And we have another boat ride, another private boat ride. We added the olive oil tasting that we didn't have before, and many, many hikes more. And of course, the Prazo Roman ruins that have been there. So now it's it's a multifaceted approach, lots of hikes, lots of walks. And for those of you who felt like the 5 days of kayaking might have been a little bit too daunting or too much, we wanted to accommodate for that, and we offer a lot more variety now in terms of activities. So I hope it's gonna excite you as much as it does me, because yeah, I can't wait for that. Even though I have to say, of course, there's a teary eye as well as a pedal sport leader. I think 5 days for those of you who can handle it, it's great, and I'm super excited that we still have 3 trips doing this activity, doing the classical itinerary before we transition into that one and try it out. Of course, our core philosophy is also to always improve, and that means over the years this will be refined, this will be tried. So your feedback is very, very, very valuable, and you come and try it out. I can guarantee you, you're gonna have the time of your life. So just shortly about these hikes, they're going to be mostly easy to moderate on hilly terrain, maybe rocky and uneven, but we can usually accommodate for both ends of the spectrum. Remember, we have 2 vans, we can split up groups, we have local guide and me as an expedition leader, so we can definitely accommodate for, if you want more, come and let us know, and we can try to find some more hikes, or we can go do longer hikes. If you want to spend more time relaxing at the hotel, or you're good with a mile and uh, on the easier side of things, that's also cool, and we can accommodate for that. So no worries. And then one more aspect, just very briefly, because I'm running a bit out of time here, but as they say, last but not least, it's a very important aspect for me. This is, by the way, going to be your new favorite drink. It's port and tonic, and so instead of gin and tonic, they mix it with white port. Maybe you've never heard about that, but yeah, you're going to learn lots about it. But it's this one phrase, "Esteque vida portuguesa," and we're going to say it with a lot of passion, and you're going to learn that one phrase because it means basically this is Portuguese life. And what it means is that there's a celebration of food, good wine, and good company. And that's what it's all about for us. We're going to be that good company for each other. We're going to turn into a real close expedition family, and we're going to have the river of wine is never going to stop flowing. We have lots of food. Let me tell you, nobody has ever complained that there was not enough food. It's often family style. I told you family a lot because it really feels like it. I'm not just saying that. It's we're gonna have platters mostly, so we can share everything. There's gonna be buffet kind of style, but there's enough for everything. We can accommodate also for vegetarians, vegan options, but there's definitely a lot of choice. Really high quality, locally sourced, and great wine selection. And as you might be interested to learn, it's not just about the port wines anymore. The port wine demand is actually decreasing in recent years. About a quarter of the trade has been lost already, while the table wines are really picking up. So you might be surprised to find that the table wines, they are gaining popularity. They are growing on the granite, and so they're still expanding further in the east where we are going. And you will taste them. You will really feel how good they are, and you will come back home, and everybody's going to be like, "Oh, I didn't know Portuguese wines were so great." And you're going to tell them, "Yes, I did an experiment for you the last week, and it turned out great." So the long dinner sessions we have, they are on purpose. They are to get to know each other. They get to connect with each other. It's really part of the Portuguese life. Yeah. Depending on the season, you might be even helping with the harvest. That's probably because of climate change going to be more towards the end of August nowadays. It used to be September, middle of September. So that's the kind of things when you can expect that. But just throughout the seasons, throughout the itineraries or the departures that we offer, you will see the landscape changing. There's a constant pro for all the departures. So just come when it suits you. We have 10 departures, and we are really happy to offer you um, dates between the end of April and the beginning of October, whenever suits you best. So, just to summarize quickly, if you want to get off the beaten path, you want to spend time in beautiful wine country and sample regional wines while staying at and dining at beautiful locations in old world, authentic Europe, and in sophisticated, exclusive, eco-friendly establishments, then come to us and we tap into these decade-old connections that I'm going to say it one last time, going to make you feel like family here with Rodrigo, Pedro, and Vitor and myself and Nancy and all the other guys. They are all great and we are wonderful as a team. And yeah, please come and visit. It's gonna be great. And with that, I will just say that you are tasting the history of the valley while supporting and protecting its future. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you there next year.
Wow, Daniel, I am so excited for everybody who is booked on this trip. I wish I was joining all of you. Oh my goodness, I'm blown away by this right now, and I hope everybody is as well. So, if
Yeah.
anybody has any questions, we will go through a few of those before the top of the hour here. And of course, if you have any additional questions that we don't get to, please reach out to the adventure specialist team. They would be more than happy to help answer your questions and get you booked on this phenomenal itinerary.
Yes.
Alrighty, let's go through some questions here. Awesome. So per trip, how many guides are there?
Oh, yes, that's a great question. It's one expedition leader, mostly me or Nancy who are doing the trips. And Nancy is also a senior expedition leader. She's been doing this for 20 years, so she's going to be there. It's going to be me. Maybe Pedro is going to take over as an expedition leader. And then we have the local guides, the team of Vito, Rodrigo, and Pedro, of whom two of them are going to be with us, and one of them is going to be most likely on the river and then stays at another place. But some of them is always going to be two people we need to drive the vans, and then one of them on the river with us for the days when we need it. And that could be also another person, so it doesn't have to be one of them. But these are our three local guides, and depending on the date, they will mix it up and yeah, and change the dates.
Wonderful, awesome. And if anybody, if your guide is Nancy, she's also done some amazing Portugal um, webinars. If you want to go, meet her before you arrive, she is a
Yeah, check it
wonderful
out.
person too.
Absolutely.
Okay, we are getting a lot of kayaking questions. So, when you do reach the locks, do you get out or is there a way to go through? How does the
Ah!
system work on those days?
Well, let me tell you, there's some surprises better to be kept, but there's only one case in the Valera Gorge where we will go through the lock, and that is a stunning experience. I don't want to spoil it too much, but yeah, you don't need to worry about it because we have done this many times. It's absolutely safe, and it's just a absolutely crazy experience to go through a lock in a kayak. So you get
Yeah.
to look forward to that.
Wow, that does sound super fun. A very
Yeah.
interesting experience. Awesome. Next is there an opportunity to wade or swim in the river during the trip?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm always happy when people go because then I most likely get to go as well. But it's definitely There are some spots where we can take the time and swim. We also, when we're kayaking on the river, we will sometimes land on a beach just to have some snacks, just to do our restroom business, and then we basically can swim. We can take our time. We can just cool down depending on how hot it is. It can get very hot in the Douro Valley, so we want to cool down, and the Douro is a perfect river to do so.
Great. And if somebody is a brand new kayaker, they have never done it before, are they still, welcome to join this trip? And if so, could you talk a little bit more about the kayaks themselves? Are they stable? Do they tip? Has anyone tipped before? Yeah, could you explain that, please?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, it's very beginning friendly. So if you feel like you've never done it, but you really want to try it, we have the time, we have the equipment to do so because they are very stable. Sea kayaks, we don't even use spray decks because none of us who doesn't want to is going to capsize. And even if we do so, I'm going to be there. The safety boat is going to be there. So you don't need to worry about it at all. We wear the latest equipment of life jackets also. And Rodrigo is, or some of us is going to be on the river. So even if you're if you're tired and you don't want to do the whole 3 to 4 hour stretch, you can just say, okay, Rodrigo or Daniel, I need a tow, and we can help you tow up in the safety boat. But it's definitely absolutely beginner friendly. I'm going to be there to guide you through it, to coach you a little bit on the way, but just to make you feel comfortable being on the water and in the kayak. But yes, they're absolutely safe. They're absolutely stable. And the water is so placid, so calm that there's not going to be anything to worry about. There are some the smallest the kind of only waves that we get are caused by some other boats further down the river that can happen. But by then I will have prepared you for what to do, and it's we're talking about tiny waves, so nothing to worry about, but just to get you a little bit moving, and basically that's it. Besides that, it's like kayaking on a lake. So you really are in good hands, and I cannot stress that enough. Safety is the most important thing for us, so don't worry about it. We'll have you backed up.
Wonderful. And this is also a good question. What is the number of boats on the river? Is it just us? Are we going to encounter other people or other
Mm,
kayakers or other boats? What's
yep.
that about?
Yeah, great question. Sorry if that wasn't clear. Most of the riverboat traffic is going to go up to Pinhao, and they're not going to reach much further. Some of them go all the way to Barcadaiva at the Spanish border, but this is the exception. So there might be one or two perfect opportunities for us to practice what to do in such a case, but there's no traffic in comparison to when we go to Pinhao. And like I said, we don't even go to Pinhao, right? So we avoid all the crazy river business. We avoid all the river cruises. There might be some local people, some cruises that go all the way to Barcadaiva, but there's really just a few. You will see it, however, that even between stretch 1 and 2, it might even increase already as we get further and further downstream, further and further to Regua and Pinhao. But basically, you don't need to worry about any of that. There's going to be very small, localized occurrence of other boats. And mostly paddling, even after 20 years of 25 years of NetApp doing this, we are still the only ones in a kayak on the river. So yeah, that's just incredible.
Wow, that is quite a record. For those who might be interested in only having a single kayak or having a double kayak, how does that work? If someone's like, I really, really, really only want to be a single kayak, or someone's like, I always want someone with me, how does that work? How boats are divvied up?
Yeah, let us know. You can definitely switch it up. We mostly, if not to very unfortunate circumstances, we can offer everybody a single kayak who wants to have one. And so you just let us know when you book it. It will be marked, and we can arrange for the single kayaks or double kayaks based on what is needed. You have seen that there's limited amount of space on the kayak carrier. So in some cases we will have to arrange to have a doubles, but we can always switch it up. Then some person will do the one stretch in the single, if not the other person. But usually we can accommodate. You just say what you want at your booking, and we can do it the way you want.
Wow. And right at this moment, we have somehow already reached the top of the hour.
Yeah, I
See,
know, I
that's
know. I
part of
was
the
speeding
flight.
up with the answer.
No, that was fantastic. This is such a great itinerary. I'm so excited for everybody who is interested in joining. And with
Yes.
that, I will conclude the Q&A portion and turn it back to you, Daniel, for any last closing comments.
Yes, so I'm super excited. I'm sure next year there's going to be a know before you go. So more and more of your answers are going to be covered. As Brooke said, also reach out to the team. They're always super helpful, super friendly. And yeah, I hope to get to see you there next year. And believe me, this will be a trip of your lifetime. Thank you so much.
It definitely sounds like it. And again, Daniel, thank you for taking the time to present to us
Absolutely.
today. And I would like to thank everyone who tuned in. Join us tomorrow for our next daily dose of nature. You can check out this week's lineup, including registration links on our website at nathab.com/webinars. We did record today's presentation, and we will have the replay available on our website soon. With that, I will conclude the webinar. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, Brooke. Thanks, everybody. Bye, Pedro.